Hello everyone, thanks so much for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So today we're going to be reviewing the Chowder House Murder by Lee Hollis. This is a cozy mystery and it was sent to me by the publisher, so thanks again, publisher, for sending me a copy. I love cozies. I really do. Everyone looks at me because I'm like a doom and gloom girl and I say like, oh, yeah, I love cozy mysteries. And my friend Catherine once said, she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I would have never guessed. And whenever I do say this to people, they are like, I would have never guessed. I don't know. Don't judge a book by its cover. But I really do love cozy mysteries. And I've never read anything by Lee Hollis before. Apparently she has written many cozy mysteries before. So this was my introduction to her and I was not disappointed. I hope will be able to continue reading the series. But considering my never-ending TBR, we shall see. That's the great thing about cozies. You can kind of just like pop in whenever you have a chance, you know? They do a lot of good time referencing things. This one follows three women, so it's three POVs. 20-year-old Audrey, her mother, who's the chief of police, Jill, and then the matriarch of the town, Margaret? Maggie. I forgot. And I forgot to write in my notes. And I already gifted the book away. Darn me. It's okay. So you've got grandma, mom, daughter, right? And Audrey, she works at the Chowder House where someone drops dead, poisoned in the chowder. Everyone thinks it's Waldo trying to bring down the restaurant because he's convinced that they stole his family's recipe. And it's like, no, we didn't. But there's really no animosity, because that's what's great about cozies. Like, the animosity is there, but there's lots of subterfuge, you know? I loved the building of the story. I liked the rising tension. I think my only issue is Audrey, she gets a lot of too good hunches, you know? A lot of her hunches are too good, and they seem to be coming from left field, almost, you know? And it's like, okay, but what does this situation have to do with the, you know, trying to clear Waldo's name? Like, how do the two connect? And it's very sparse, you know? It's like you're reaching, you know, it's like you're reaching. And that's really the only hesitance I have with this book. Because it seemed like a whole lot of stretch. Like, why are we investigating this? Like, what does this have to do with this? Like, it was a whole lot of, you know, you have to suspend some of your disbelief for that, because for me in my brain I'm like, okay, I'm reading this, but what does this have to do with this? That's something I kept asking myself as I was reading it, because it wasn't computing in my brain. Don't get me wrong, I loved the book and I liked the rising tension and I loved the build and how, oh my god, we're investigating this, but we discovered another murder, you know, a cold case, we undid a cold case. So it was good. It was well written. I think the grandmother, she's kind of a sweetheart. She's very quirky, you know, especially with her whole family unit. She's like, no, I'm going to investigate. And her daughter Jill, chief of police, who, by the way, is in a secret relationship with the DA, because she doesn't want her family to get involved. She's like, nope. I already went through a divorce. I really don't want my family getting involved in this relationship. It's really quite adorable. Their whole dynamic, you know, Jill is just constantly rolling her eyes, like, why are you guys getting involved? She's like, I don't want you guys, like, let me do my job, but they do help her. You know, they kind of push her in the right direction, you know, give her a couple nudges here and there and be like, I need you to investigate this. Can you investigate this? And it's very cute, the whole family dynamic. You know, it's very believable. It's very heartwarming. And that's what I love about cozies. Like when I'm watching Psych or Monk, for instance, you know, there's still a lot of levity in the seriousness. And that's what I enjoy. You know, it's not just we're solving a murder. It's not just a thriller. Don't get me wrong. I like my thrillers. I love horror, you know, but I am more of a, I need some levity in there, you know? I need something to lighten the mood. And that's what I think Lee Hollis did really good with the storytelling here. When you're going back and forth between these three women, their ties to the community, their ties to one another, you're not just seeing how they're going about solving the murder. You're seeing who they are personally. You're seeing their family dynamic. You're seeing who they are to the community and the parts that they play and why they are investigating this, like why they're doing this, you know, becoming amateur sleuths. Don't mess with that grandmother because she is snaky. Very good characterization. I think the characterization was very, very well done. They all had really different tones. I will say with Audrey, though, again, with all goes back to Audrey. I liked her. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes she just felt younger than her 20 years. I had to keep reminding myself, like, oh, no, she's not 16, 17. She's, you know, just turned 20, you know. I had to keep reminding myself of that fact, because just the tone and the narrative, it was just a little confusing at times. She didn't feel like she was a 20-year-old, you know. She felt like, oh, she was just working this job, you know, in between high school classes or during summer vacation. So I think really everything else was kind of perfect. The family dynamic was really good. The character dynamics were really, really good. I loved the tone of the story. I loved the atmosphere. I blew through this book. I mean, it was a quick, easy read. I was hooked. I did have to suspend my belief a couple times because, again, just the instances with Audrey going from point A to point D didn't really flow and make a whole lot of sense to me. Maybe I was just being a little too analytical about it, but it just didn't flow as much as I would hope, you know. Did we uncover another murder? Yeah, we do. Cool, great. But I didn't really see how that event tied to that event because it just kind of seemed to come out of left field. And then, even though I liked Audrey as a character, I think she needed stronger characterization so that I would stop forgetting that she was 20-year-old and not a 16, 17-year-old, because my brain just kept rewriting her as a 16, 17-year-old, probably because of the whole, you know, family dynamic there. She's the youngest one, and sometimes she just seemed a little too young. But overall, I did like her, and I thought it was a really solid story. And, you know, this is a series I would definitely go back to reading again, for sure. Solid 4.25 stars. Solid 4.25. Almost 4.5. Almost. In any case, thank you again for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with our welcoming friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.